Hi Booktube! So instead of sitting down at the end of a week and sharing you the books I've read, I am going to take you through my reading journey this week because I am participating in the mini deck of TBR-athon that's hosted by Chloe at Always Booked and Becca at Becca's Books and Bujo. I have been participating in every summer event that they do with this, but this might be or at least it's the first time I'm aware that they are doing a mini version where it's just a week instead of a month long. And whereas the month long reading event, you're keeping track of your points and then you can submit it to add to your team's total points. This is just like a freer version where you can collect your points, but you're not going to be submitting them for a team. So it's just like my own personal challenge to myself. And so I have a deck of cards, these like really goofy playing cards, and these are the ones I've been using every year because they're just so fun. So I already picked a card and picked a book, but I was like, wait a second, I need to film this because I think it's a fun way of doing a TBR-athon and a TBR event, and I've always enjoyed that about the summer one. And I can kind of get into it and be just competitive with myself. And so the week version, where you purposely are kind of competing with yourself, is right up my alley. So I picked the card, the Jack, and this is ice cream. But so how this works is each card you pick, it doesn't matter what the sweet is. This is a heart, but that doesn't matter. It's just what the number or the letter is that matters. And so with each card, there is my different prompt. There's 3 prompts, so you can do like an easy version of like for 1 point, 3 points, or 5 points. And so for J, there was, let me pull it up here. So this one, the prompt is in the title, and these are all winter or cold themes. So if you can see that here, it's 1 point is frost, and then 3 points is cold, and 5 points is winter. And so coincidentally enough, I had recently borrowed from my library, and I'm a little ways into it, but as long as you read at least 50% of a book and it's over 100 pages, then it can count. And, you know, graphic novels and all the sorts of things can count. This isn't the cover of the book, but when I selected the cover option, this is what it's showing me. But this is Robert Frost's collection of poems. It's selected and edited by John Hollander, and it's the Knopf publisher. But if you see what it looks like in my little grid here, that's what the cover is. It's all white with just the word Frost in bordered letters. So I'm going to be reading that, but I'm going to be reading that throughout this week. I'm not going to sit down and read a whole volume of poetry. That's just not what I can do unless it's short. So I thought, since I didn't get this one on camera, I might as well do the next one, and we'll see what I get. So let me shuffle it here. I can't do the whole fancy. I can like, you know, put these together and do it like that, but I can't do how you get it back. If that makes sense. Like, anyway, so let me shuffle here and we'll pick a card. Okay, so this is an 8. It's a toast. A toast creature. So let's see what 8 is. Book in a series. So for 1 point you can start a book, 3 points continue a series, and 5 points complete a series. So I'm gonna browse my bookshelves and I'll report back, because outside, like, just Frost happened to exactly fit the prompt. I really want to be focusing on my bookshelves for this week's readathon, if I can. So okay, I'm back. And so I selected a book I just picked up last week. Why not read a book as soon as you haul it? Condos and Corpses, a Sapphire Beach Cozy Mystery, Book 1. This is by Angela K. Ryan. I've never read anything by this author. I've never heard of this author, but it seems it might be like self-published. Let me see here. No, it's by John Paul Publishing. But yeah, so there's this one. And it takes place in, I think, southern Florida. But it says, Connie can think of no other option but to sell the beachfront condo she recently inherited. But there's a murder in the apartment, so she might not have an easy of a time selling it. So I'm not sure if this is like Miami or some like Tampa. I don't know, but I will keep you posted. So those are the 2 books I'm going to be getting on with today. I'm thinking of breaking the Robert Frost poetry collection into the 7 days, and that way I'm not consuming it all in one go, and because that would just be too much for my brain, because I read poetry, but it's not something I sit with all the time. But then I'm gonna get through this one today, hopefully, because today's Monday and it's a holiday and I'm off from work, so it's a perfect time to sit down and really get some good reading done. So this is, let me see here, 165 pages. So yeah, fingers crossed I'll get through it today, and I will let you know what the next book will be. Hi Booktube, and happy Tuesday. I took an extra day off, as yesterday was a holiday from work, and I was like, why not give myself a 4-day weekend? That sounds just delightful. So I did that, and I am planning to go and do some book shopping. I'm going to go to some local library bookstores. So I really prefer those kind of library sales instead of like the big every 6 months or a year where you have like masses of books, but then also masses of people, and you're fighting your way through the queue to look at the books. I really like when not all libraries do this, but some do. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I'm not sure what this cat is getting into. The cat is very rambunctious at the moment. It sounds like he's chewing some plastic, but yeah, not all libraries do this, but some have like ongoing book sales where they have an additional store where you still get the good prices, like typically they're between like $1 and $5 books, if not sometimes 50 cents. And so I'm going to go to 2 of those today, along with getting some lunch. Here, one second. This cat. Yeah, so he brought out what he was looking at or trying to eat, and it's a hair clip. Like, you can't have that. He is a hoot. He is getting into everything, and it's been so long since I've had a cat, especially a young cat full of energy. You gotta keep your eyes on him. But yeah, he's being super rambunctious, and they have the cat and Fable, my dog, are like playing right now. They have done so good. Like, I might have like mentioned, if you watched my previous videos, a cat showed up at my doorstep a couple, like 3-4 weeks ago now at this point. And my dog doesn't like cats. And he's like, you know, I'm sure, you know, like they look weird. They have this haughty demeanor. Something about them, you know, puts her off. So for the first, up until like a couple days ago, we've had to keep them completely separate. Like when we're doing like, you know, socializing, I have Fable on it because she's a gigantic 85-pound dog. So I have her sitting at my feet on leash, and like, you know, my arm around her. That way, you know, she's not gonna dive for it, because she could. Like, I've seen her do that with stray cats out in the wild. And so I did notice, like, as she started being more comfortable with the cat. I think because, you know, the cat is like accepted into the house, and we in the household are showing attention to the cat, and not we aren't showing worry or stress about the cat. So like, maybe she's like, Fable's starting to accept the cat as part of the group. And so yeah, like I moved him to a room where I didn't have, I'm sorry, I'm going to completely tangent here. I moved to a room where there wasn't any, like, anything basically to fight over. There was no toys or food, or, you know, like, there's, like, triggers that could happen, where they could get possessive over it. And like, they did so well. And so, like, I did that for a couple of days, like, I don't know, like 20-minute sessions multiple times a day. And then, so now, like, they're just free for all in the house. And it's so nice not to have to constantly close the door, because the cat would scratch at the carpet trying to get in, and you have to let him in and out, and you have to hold the cat, let the dog in this way. It was just a whole thing. So yeah, they're doing very well. I'll try and get on camera of them running around, because they're just like chasing each other all over the place. It's delightful to see. Fable, the dog, actually is much more friendly than the cat is. Like, I feel like often can be the case, but I would think it would be the other way around, because she has not liked any cat she's ever seen. Her hackles go up. She just freaks out, because she had one bad encounter with a stray cat. Not a stray cat. It was a cat that's like let outside all the time in an apartment complex. I never understand that, but she had one bad experience, and she didn't get bit or scratched or anything. It just, like, she tried to play with it, and she comes on really strong. And so, but anyway, so even now she comes on really strong. She's like, play with me, play. And she doesn't exactly take no for an answer. And the cats will play for a minute, and it's like, oh, I'm done. This is too much. And she's still, you know, Fable's still like puppy bowing all over the place. Like, come on. So like, the cat will like jump on a chair, or like the headboard of the headrest of a recliner in the living room, and then Fable will like hit the chair part, and so it rocks, and she's like, come on. It's so funny. Anyway, oh my goodness, that long digression short. Yes, I'm going out today, and I think the animals can sense my excitement. But I did want to report on, I finished the first book in the series, Sapphire Beach Cozy Mystery Condos and Corpses by Angela K. Ryan. And it seemed like the setting of this woman with Connie, she is relocating, at least for the short time, from Boston to Southwest Florida. And in looking at the author's bio, it seemed to be the similar kind of experience because she herself lives in the Boston metro area, and her mother lives in, what was it, San Marcos Island? And that's in Southwest. I looked it up because I'm not familiar with the Florida geography, but that is in Southwest Florida as well. I'm trying to find. Marco Island is what it's called. Yeah, and I looked up a picture of that, and it seems like a very built up island, with like, like lots of resorts and houses and whatnot. But so anyway, all that to be said, I enjoyed it for what it was. I don't always get on with cozy mysteries, and I don't know why. The ones I like, I'll read the whole series. But for some reason, this one didn't fully pull me through. And I feel like sometimes that happens, for me with cozy mysteries, how they don't have as much anticipation, and maybe that's why, maybe it's just me not getting along with cozies, where I will easily pick up a mystery or a thriller, no problem, and get sucked right in, where they don't always suck me right in from page one. And so maybe this is a me issue and not the book. I liked it well enough. I didn't hate it or anything like that. It just found it a bit slow at points. But it's about Connie, who is getting ready to sell her grandmother's condo, and I'm on this Sapphire Beach, but I'm guessing it's, again, modeled on the Marco Island area. And she already knows the people around her because she's visited that area to see her grandmother often. And so she's already familiar with it. And so she already has some association, but she's already like making friends, like, on day 2 there, like, of course you do, and these like little small towns. And she's taking care of a dog, Ginger. And I thought it was interesting. The author bio was talking about how the author herself travels too much to have a pet, so she's like living through her books of having a pet. And I understand how, like, yeah, with travel it can be hard with having a dog, especially if you travel so much. But yeah, and so then there is this cantankerous man that lives in the condo, and he's constantly complaining about complaining to like the management, the hallway isn't clean, or there's trash here, or what have you. And also, on top of him complaining all the time, and kind of like harassing the receptionist in a way, like hounding her, like, do your job, and da 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 da. Also, he flirts heavily with any woman he can, basically, and not in the best way. So he's like, you can tell he's like the bad guy. I knew from as soon as I read about this character, like, he's the one that's gonna be killed, and he was. And the mystery takes off from there. Oh, hi, Fable. He hears me talking. Yes, hello. You were pregnant? Yeah, you were. And the cat's right behind her. I don't think he's gonna jump up though. You better not jump up in my face. That would be too scary with the claws. Yeah, hi. Yeah, I'm gonna take Fable along with me today. Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. I have walks throughout the day scheduled for her. And yeah, she always likes that. But yes, honestly, for Fable, she can often prefer a car. I shouldn't say that word. A CARRIDE, because if I say that word, she knows what that means. she prefers that over the WALK. Almost, like, especially when it's raining or if it's too hot. She will, like, if I take her outside from my house, she will want to run to the car, like, crying, instead of like wanting to go on the trails, which is, it's just so funny to me. She's like, it's inclement weather. No, like, I can get my smells and enjoyment speeding along the roads. She's so funny to me. But yeah, it makes sense, for us as humans as well. But anyway, yeah, I did enjoy this, and I have books 2 through 9, and I don't know if that's a complete series or what, but I at least I'm gonna give the second book a go. And I can't remember if I mentioned, but I got these from a little free library, so like no harm, no foul. If I don't like them all, or if I do like them, if I love them, then I can just pass them along to a friend or something like that. But happy to have read this one. So all that to be said, I want to sit down to pick my next book, because when I'm out and about today, if there's any downtime, I want to have a book with me on the go. So I have my deck of cards here, and I'm gonna shuffle. I'm not the best shuffler, like I mentioned, but It can't be that hard. Okay, so let's see. So you can show it, so you can see it first. I got a 5, which is a cherry creature, or a creature eating a cherry, something. Okay, so number 5 on the prompt list is host read. Okay, so any book the host has read, the host has rated 4 or 5 stars, or a host favorite from 2025. So maybe you can see that there. There's my options. So from 1 to 5 points. Okay, so I'm gonna look at so the hosts are Chloe at Always Booked and Becca's Books and Boozer. So I'm gonna look through, and I'm gonna try to go for the 5 point, because so far I've gotten 2 1-point books. I'm gonna try to go for the 5 point and go with a host's favorite from 2025. So that should be easier than also combing through all their videos for these other prompts. So I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, and I found a favorite from Chloe at Always Booked. She did a whole category on middle grade books and graphic novels, and I chose The Mouse and the Motorcycle by Beverly Cleary. I feel like I can't go wrong with the Beverly Cleary. I'm not sure I'm not able to get it from my library right away. I might have a hold. I need to check. So I'll either do an ebook or I'll listen to the audiobook today. So there is my pick of the day. Okay, and I'm going to take you around, hopefully, when I go to all the different shops and the walks. But yeah, I'm going to share the day with you and enjoy my day off. It's hailing outside, and there's a chance of snow tomorrow morning. We will see. We haven't had any snow yet this year. It would be nice to see a little dusting. It's not going to stick around at all, but seeing it fall down would be nice. It's now 5 o'clock on Tuesday, and I wanted to report back on how my day went and pick the next book, because I finished the audiobook while I was running around and doing some errands and going to some bookstores. So unfortunately, I didn't get any footage while I was at the different bookstores. One of them was very busy, and then the second one, there was this woman talking about a really bad incident that she had with her child in the front yard, talking to another worker. And so I was like, I know my audio would pick that up, and it was really disturbing for me to hear about that. And so it was distracting, and I don't know, like I don't know any editing. I have no editing skills, so I have no idea how to turn that audio part out. So I just I'm just not gonna film that. But I do have a bag of books to share with you. So I went to the 2 library stores that I was talking about, and I got, let's see here, I was trying to be very careful with what I purchased, because I don't want to overdo it, because this past weekend, before I started filming for the the deck of TBR-athon challenge, I went into Portland and went to a variety of bookstores there, and I got a whole slew of books, and also for the Garb August Wasted Weekend Criminales challenge, where you read trashy books, airport fiction, things like that. And so I did that as well. So I've already gotten quite an amount of books, but you don't need to hear about that. So I got just 3 books. So the first one is by John C. Charik. This is The Little White Schoolhouse, Volume 1. So I've actually read another book by this author. Does it list his, let me see if it lists his other books, because I can't remember. It was something to do with the schoolhouses as well, but they all have these okay, there's three volumes in this series. There's The Little White Schoolhouse, and then there's Pulse of the Community and Those Bittersweet School Days. I want to say the book I read was one that included it's in maybe like an abridged version of all 3 of these. One second, let me check. Oh, actually, no, I'm not gonna do that. I don't want to get off. Anyway, I read another book by this author about the little schoolhouses, and it says in the back right here, because this thing is gonna fall apart. But it's holding together. I might have to tape it or something. But it says in 1969, this book won the award of merit from the American Association of State and Local History. And so, yeah, this book, and here's the author right here. And it's funny, you have the author's bio on the front flap, and the back flap is the one where it's talking about the book. But this is all about the country schoolhouses in the 50 years or so of when they were operated. the one room schoolhouses is what it's going to be focusing on. And so when I was flipping through it, there's pictures. There's also some diagrams as well of how the schools were typically laid out, and there's also like the front cover as well. So like we can read about what these schoolhouses look like in the 1800s, but then also like seeing it in reading the fiction books, but actually like seeing it in a nonfiction version, I find it very intriguing. So I got that one, and then I also got, this is like historical fiction, Scarlet, sequel to Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind by Alexandra Ripley. I have seen this book a lot. I've seen this book off and on throughout the years. I feel like ever since I started going to thrift stores, decades ago. And I never really gave it a second glance. It was just a book I would see most time I would see it in a mass market paperback. But I saw this when I went today, and I had recently seen what is Melissa's booktube channel, Labradors and Libraries. I'll try to remember and leave a link in the description below to her channel. But she loves historical fiction, and especially historical romance, and Gone with the Wind is one of her favorite books. And so she had recently read this, I want to say, or I watched one of her videos where she's talking about this, and so her video inspired me to want to pick it up. And so I saw this today, and it just jogged my memory of her talking about it, and so I'm gonna give it a go. It's equally as long, I feel like, as Gone with the Wind, but I have high hopes. Now the cat is fighting these little twinkly lights out. Kitty, kitty, come on. You're such a little nuisance. You're being a nuisance. Here, I have a little tape thingy you were playing with earlier. Come on, over here. Yeah, Fable's okay. And Fable's like jealous because she thinks this is like some precious item. She has to keep the cat away from it. But my goodness. Okay. Well, while they're settling down, I'll move on to the next book. And this is an author I've heard about, Shirley Hazard, but I've never read anything by her. This is a collected short stories of her work. And I'm not sure if it's like the best collection or what, but I've heard about this author off and on, and I've never seen it in any newspaper or any collections that I have. And so when I saw and just focused on her, I was like, I need to give her a go. And let's see if I can find something. Let's see who the author celebrates integrity, personal honor, and the endurance of unrequited love. Shirley Hazard does not hesitate. Yes, I know nothing about this author. I have this in the back of my mind, like, this is a short story author. I should read. So is there anything else I can say? Has precise lyricism and emotional microscopy. Oh, that it's been easy to overlook her gifts for aphorism and laugh out loud skewering. I don't know what the word aphorism means. But anyway, I will add this to my collection. I have a small collection of short story authors way at the top. Okay, so now I wanted to go back to what this video is kind of all about, of me reading, like me selecting books with little deck of cards and reporting back on what I thought of them. So I got the audiobook, The Mouse and the Motorcycle by Beverly Cleary, and it was very cute and endearing, like all of Beverly Cleary's works are. And this is a part of a series of books, and I've seen these books in like little free libraries and thrift stores and bookstores and things like that, but I never gave them much thought because I am not one, even as a kid, I never really liked books where the animals are the main characters. Never cared for it, and I still don't. But this was still cute. I could ignore it, and get along with it. But this is about a little boy who is visiting California near San Francisco, and while they're staying at the hotel, there is a mouse that the mouse can talk and speak in English, and the boy can understand the mouse. And the boy has a collection of these little toy cars. And so if you make the noise like for the motorcycle, like vroom vroom or something like that, or a puttery noise, then you can the car will run around. And so the mouse becomes very brave and grows up because he can now use that to get around this big hotel. But he does, of course, there's a bunch of hijinks and things like that he gets into, like with the maids and being caught, being seen by other people. But it was very cute and endearing, and the mouse saves the day because he has to help the little boy with finding an item, and so he can use the motorcycle to zip around and get it for him. So yeah, it was a very, very cute story. Okay, so now let me go back to the task list, because then I mean the prompts, so that, where did I thought I saved it somewhere on here. Did I lose it? I might have to jump off of the video and go back and find it, because I thought I had it saved on a one second. I thought I had saved it on my tablet somewhere, but it appears I must have clicked away from it. So one moment. Okay, luckily I was just one click away from finding it again. So here is all the prompts for the thing. It's really big. For some reason I can't get the page to be small. It's like it's spread out beyond what the page is, but it's the mini deck of TBR-athon, woohoo. Okay, so now that I have the prompts, let me shuffle my deck of cards again and see what I end up with. Okay, let me do this in front of you so you can. So I have a 2, an apple creature. Okay, so let me see what a 2 means. Okay, 2 is a yearly challenge. So Jane reads, Chantel reads all day, or Oceana reads company. And I'm only familiar with one of these. Let me turn the brightness down so you can see. I'm only familiar with one of these channels. Chantel reads all day. I've followed her for a number of years, but the other 2 I don't know. So I will have to look at their challenges and see which strikes my fancy. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, I'm back, and I decided to go with Chantel reads all day's Read Your Bookshelf challenge. And even though these are broken up by month, she stated in her video that you can read any of these during whatever month you decide to go with. So I decided to select November's Transportation and read Lee Child, Safe Enough, and Other Stories. I think this came out last year, and I read one of the Lee Child books years ago, but that's about it. But I was in a whole kick of reading these really short, fast-paced murder mysteries and things like that. And this is a book I didn't get to last month, and so I had it left on my Kindle as a library borrow. So I want to finish this before I can add a couple new borrows to my Kindle, and so I'm gonna go with this one. I know nothing about it except yeah, there's transportation. So there's a car on the cover, and something's going on with this person digging with a shovel. But yeah, I'll see how this one goes. Okay, talk to you soon. Another day and more hail has come. The forecast keeps saying that we're gonna get snow each day, but all we're getting is ice. Tomorrow it's saying we're gonna get 5 hours of snow. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I'll keep you posted. Hello again. It is now Wednesday around 7 o'clock, and I've finished work, and it's just been pouring rain all day. I showed you a clip of the hail, and it's just been very, very cold and just not wanting to spend any time outside. So it was the perfect evening to make some soup. So I made a creamy vegetable soup with some bread, and it was just exactly what I needed. And after that, I finished the short story collection by Lee Child, Safe Enough, and Other Stories. I think I like the cover here. But when I was looking at the author's information, I'm like, Jack Reacher, that's the series that he's known for. Like, that's how much I've read of Lee Child. Like, I read the first book of that series years and years and years ago. My old college friend really liked this author, and so I read one of those books, one shot. I only remember that because it had a target on the cover. So I know nothing about this author, except I just remember having a bit of a choppy writing, but I could be completely misremembering that because it was probably, oh goodness, maybe like almost 20 years ago since I read that book. But this one didn't feature Jack Reacher at all. I should say I have, even though I've not read any of his books really, except for that one, and now this one, I have watched the TV show, and I quite like it. So yes, but it didn't feature that character at all. I'm not sure if the characters in here are part of the world in general or other series that he's written, but they're all, he mentions in his introduction how he isn't used to writing short stories, and how basically each story is just a mini book that is like, 20 pages or so. So I thought that was interesting because he's talking about how, like the fancy or the classic short story writers, there's always like a twist, or it ends suddenly, and he's like, I can't do that. I still have to do, the rising, the conflict, and then the resolution. So that was funny to read about. But yeah, these really were just many stories of different crimes. So it was either you were in the perspective of the person doing the crime, and you knew up front that was the case, or you were in following, like, the main character was the one that was prosecuting the bad guy, but he could be doing it like a really rough way. So like you're kind of siding with the bad guy. And then sometimes it was stories where you thought you were following the good guy, and it was like the very last sentence or two, like, oh, he's not a good guy. So they were all like really quick, light reads, exactly what I wanted for today. Yeah, for today, since it was like my first day back after having a long weekend. So I got the cards out, and I'm gonna pick the next book. Okay, so it is a 6, grapes. Okay, so let's see what that would be. I don't think I've gotten a 6 yet. Okay, 6 is romance tropes. So it's fake dating, friends to lovers, or second chance. So I'm gonna see, I have a couple romance books. I'm gonna see what I have and what fits, and if not, I have a couple books on Hoopla check out from the library. In particular, I'm thinking of for Sarah at Reading Category Romance. I think I probably got her channel name right. Oh my goodness, I keep misremembering her name because I think of her as like the bookish knitter. But she she loves category romance, and so each month she is picking a different author to spotlight. And so it's kind of like a mini book club, but instead of reading one book by the author, you can read anything by the author that fits in the category. So I wonder if that book by Margaret Way will fit. So one moment. Okay, I'm back, and I found a Friends to Lovers store, so that gets me 3 points for the DECA TBR-athon. It's Escape Big Bend Canyon by Barb Hahn. This is a Harlequin intrigue novel and part of the Marshals of Mesa Point series. It says, can 2 U.S. Marshals survive in the wilderness against an escaped killer? And it's following U.S. Marshal Julie and her partner who's wounded, Toby Ward. And so it says they're best friends, and they're stuck in this dangerous situation together, and can they make it out? Dun dun dun. Okay, I'll report back on what I think of it. Hey, Paul, enjoying your walk? Yeah. We're at the ponds. There's lots of ducks and geese for her to look at and pretend really think she's gonna chase. I can hear all the birdies, but I can't see them. What do you think, Fabulous? Hello again. So for me, it's been several days, almost a week, since the readathon, well, since I last filmed a clip for the mini DECA TBR-athon, because I got sick with a cold, and I didn't have a voice. I don't know if you can tell, I'm still recuperating from the head cold, but I'm feeling a lot better. I just was not feeling well enough to film anything. But I wanted to fill you on what I was able to read. And so I think I left off with, I was starting the Barb Hahn Escape Big Bend Canyon. This is a Harlequin intrigue. I had recently picked these up. I picked up a whole slew of these for like 50 cents. And so this is the author I never read before. But I know I like the intrigue line. But reading, I read maybe 10%. And her writing style is just not for me. She had a very, like cliche way of writing, and then it was kind of like to be kind of funny or quippy, but it was just turning me off from it. And then just the language that she was using and just her whole tone of voice, I didn't care for it at all. So I am going to be donating these because I had another book because I went to a thrift store and there's a whole pile of them, so I just scooped them up because these are brand new, well ish, brand newish. They both came out in 2025 and they look like really in really good condition. So, but yeah, I gave these a chance and just not for me at all. So I crossed this off from my list and pulled the next card. And so I wrote them down here. So the next one I selected was, I drew a 4. And so I got 5 points for reading A Frog's Eye View by Rebecca Bussell. And so let me see, what was the prompt? So I can, let's see, for card 4, it was average rating. So like for 4 and above, you got 1 point, 3.5 to 4. You got 3 points, and then I picked the blue 3.5, and that was 5 points. So this is an older book that came out, let me see here, 1990. But this was very interesting. It was like the earlier young adult books before young adult was a thing at all, and before it was like, focused, so much on the love triangles and whatnot. But this one does, funny enough, follow, because even back before the whole love triangle, Twilight and all that stuff, there's still, teenagers, having their first boyfriend and girlfriend and whatnot. But this is following, what was her name? Neela. Because her name was Amelia, but she didn't like that name, so she wanted to change her name. But her name's Neela, and this is her summer in between sophomore years or junior year. And she's got her first boyfriend. They had a really fun time during the school session. When school gets out, she's immediately jealous that he has to work. He has a job. And so she was looking forward to spending all of her time with him every single day. And that was not going to be the case. And he thought she would be happy for him. And then he saves enough money to get a car so that he can, instead of relying on her to take him everywhere, he can, have his own transportation. But she feels even less needed. And so she's even more jealous of how he's spending his time. And he starts his own band and has a friend, a neighbor, that they've been friends forever. And they both have good voices. It's like, why not form this band together? And she's like, oh, he's dumping me, or he's not interested in me more. He's gonna be dating her. I just know it. And so basically, all of her, she is her own undoing because she he just can't take it anymore. She's constantly like harping on him and just constantly being jealous of every little thing he does and not happy for him, not supportive. So he's like, bye. And so this is her just getting over it. And so there's a camera involved, Frog's Eye View, because she decides to basically stalk him. To just follow him everywhere through this camera lens, taking pictures of his different facial expressions when he's with different people, just for her to like analyze, what did I do wrong? Is he feeling any pain that I'm feeling? And so it was just, it was just a girl being in her own head and just obsessing over losing her first boyfriend, like first holding on to him for dear life and then losing him. So, it was interesting to read a book, taking place back in 1990, and how, how books are written. Because these are the books I grew up reading, because I didn't grow up with the whole like new form of the young adult. I read like these older kind of books, back, I feel like an old person saying that, but yes, so these are the kind of books I would have read when I was a teenager. So it was relatable enough, and never mind, I shouldn't say that. It was not relatable at all. But it was amusing enough, and I could understand where it was coming from. But yes, this had, what rating was, I think this had like a 3.25. It didn't have hardly any reviews. It's an older book that, it's not, I'm sure it's no longer in print, so like no one's reading about it. But yeah, it was fun enough when I was sick that I wanted, it was like really light reading. Okay, sorry, my dog's sighing in the background here. Then I listened to an audiobook because I wasn't feeling that great. And so for the audiobook, I drew a card 9, and that theme was on the cover. And so for 3 points, I selected one with 2 people on the cover. And let me see here. I read Come Sing Jimmy Joe by Catherine Patterson. And this is about a family that, oh, actually, let me just hold it up like this, I guess. It's about a family who is living in West Virginia, and they're all singers. It's kind of reminding me of Dolly Parton and her family, how they all were singers, because they didn't have a lot of money, and, you know, it's like, maybe didn't have a TV, or TV weren't invented at the time, or, you know, so they have to make their own entertainment, and, you know, it's kind of like free entertainment at that. But, so yeah, his whole family are singers, like the whole gospel, folky, country singers, and his mom really wants to make it big, and so they end up getting a program on the local TV network, and so they have to uproot themselves from this, like, the whole, like, backwoods country life in West Virginia, and go to the biggish city that's not really big at all at the time, and you know, start their whole new life. And so Jimmy is really teetering, of course. You know, he's the youngest member of the family, so he's going to be the most affected, because he has to start a new school, and all the boys are, like, dressed like preppy with, like, collars and polos and things like that, and he just didn't grow up with that kind of background, and are just now maybe getting some money in, so, like, he's not used to dressing like that or anything. But also he has to split his time between school, and he's a valued member of the band, the family band, and so he has to take a lot of time away from school to go and sing. And so I really like this book for the narrator. I need to pull up who the narrator was. Let me Google it real quick, because I didn't think before, because she was amazing, because she would when they had little moments where they were singing different songs, the narrator would sing it, and I really want to read more audiobooks from this narrator. So let me see, who was the narrator? So pull up for me. Narrated by Melba Sibrel, Sibrel. So I'm for sure gonna be looking her up. But yeah, I loved how she was able to flip back and forth between, like, just talking and singing. Cause, like, that, you know, some people can talk really well, but can they sing really well as well? I know I can't. Okay, so then the last card I drew was an ace, and that was it was a perfect way of ending the reading event, because it was a wild card. I got to pick whatever book I wanted for 5 points, and so I chose a book I've had on my TBR for quite a while, or this author in general I've had on my TBR. As each new book comes out, I've heard great things about it. I just had never got to each book as they were coming out. But I finally read book 20 in the Cork O'Connor series. And this came out in 2025, so it's probably the most recent book. And this is Apostles Cove. And so, yeah, William Kent Kruger, I've heard about, because I like reading the you know, thrillers from, like, the Longmire series, or the C.J. Bach series, the Mike Bowditch series, all the, like, outdoor, you know, with, like, strong settings in each place. And so this one is taking place in the Northwoods of Minnesota, near, like, the canoe area and the forest up there. And I really enjoyed this, and so I'm going to go back and read, like, a book. What I like is I found an author I'm going to enjoy, so I can go back and read all the 1 through 19. But this is following Cork, who is flipping back and forth in time. So it's kind of, like, spoiling me for, I'm sure, like, what book 1 and all that was what was happening at that time. But in this one, it's flipping back and forth in time, because at this point in his career, he is retired from the law enforcement. But he's, like, acting as, like, a private investigator, and also running a hamburger shop, like a local, like, shack in the canoe area for, like, the tourists and the local townspeople, and, you know, still working with the teenagers and being in touch with the community. And so, but there is, so his son comes to him, and who's a lawyer now, and is saying, do you remember your first case? Because I think you've convicted the wrong person, that he didn't do it. He didn't kill the person they're talking about. And so then he is now opening up all these files and going down memory lane of what happened and who so then you're jumping back, I don't know, something like 20 years or so, and you're following a cast of characters. The one in particular, like, one of the main characters, what was her name? It was it's not mentioning her name, but she, oh darn it, but yeah, she was, like, this main, I can't remember her name, but she was a character, because and I'm always, like, bad with names. I've just been sick, so I'm really bad with names. Yeah, she did not fit in at all with this local community. She is from like basically a wildflower child from the 70s in California, and so she's into all sorts of drugs and Aphrodite. There you go. That was her name. She had picked that name, but she's basically shaking up the whole community at that time because she's having these like big elaborate parties and not following any of the laws or any of the rules or any of the conventions of the town. And so basically she's like this like, story of this whole hornet's nest. And so anyone that she's in contact with, she's like kind of corrupting them if they're not already corrupt. And so, yes, they're basically, he calls her a spider multiple times. And so I liked how you could kind of tell it from the very beginning who had done it, who had killed the person. But it was just like seeing how the story unfolded was really interesting. So yes, those were the books I ended up reading for the event. So let me see here. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I read 7 books and I DNF'd 1. And so I didn't add up my points because like in the summer when we do this readathon, you can add up your points and you can submit it to support your team, whether your team plan your TBR or where you're the team that just flies by the seat of their pants. But for this one, it doesn't matter. But let me see how many points I did get. Because I didn't think to count these beforehand. So let me see. I got 5, 10, 15, 20, 21, 22, 25. Okay. So I ended up with 25 points. Again, not that it matters. But it was really fun to do. And it helped me. I like how it's making it more creative of how I would pick books. Because who's to say I would have picked this book off my shelf? It could have lingered for quite a bit longer. Or the Cork O'Connor series. Like I said, this has been on my TBR. This series has been on my TBR forever. Like years. I never got to it. So, yeah, that's why I like readathons like this. And I don't know if I mentioned before, but like I was picking a lot of shorter books just because I wanted to rack up those points. So that's why I didn't pick any of the bigger books off my shelf. And with me being sick, especially at the end of it, I just wanted the fast fiction books. But I'm going to get back to some of my nonfiction as well later on in this month now that I'm feeling better. But not to say I don't like fiction, because I really like fiction as well. But I like a little bit more of a balance. But anyway, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, BookTube.